Hi, everyone. Welcome to Developmentally Appropriate Practice. Developmentally Appropriate Practice, or DAP, refers to a philosophical orientation that involves a constructive approach to the teaching of young children. Constructivism means that children can construct their own learning. Education is mindful of the development of the whole child when you are using developmentally appropriate practice. We will look at the Washington State Early Learning and Development Guidelines in another recording as we talk about the toddler lesson plan assignment. In 1987, the National Association for the Education of Young Children, or NIAC, N-A-E-Y-C, some people pronounce it NACY. NIAC developed a document using the term developmentally appropriate practice. The document was developed in response to historical observations and records about how young children were learning. The document addressed concerns about the emphasis that was currently happening placed on rote learning, learning facts and repeating facts that are being learned, and whole group interaction instead of active learning approaches. This document also addresses concerns about testing placement and retention practice. All practices that aren't related to the individual child, but more of assumptions of where children should be at in their development at certain ages. DAP means that you are teaching with individual appropriateness, you're aware of the age and development of the child you're teaching, the cultural aspects of the child, what their family culture is like, what their culture is in the environment of their neighborhood. Think of Bronfenhofer's circular spheres of influence on children. Bronfenbrenner states children's development is best understood within the socio-cultural context of family, education setting, community, and the broader society. These contexts are all interrelated and all impact the developing child. A child in a loving, supporting family within a healthy community may be affected by the negative effects of the larger society. So when we think about what are developmentally appropriate practices, they are practices which are deliberately planned for young children. So, approaches to integrated curriculum. Integrated curriculum allows children to pursue learning in a holistic way. It implies that learning is synthesized across subject areas. You don't have to just learn math. You can learn math in the context of literature, of social studies, of socio-emotional, if you're splitting up into groups, if you're pairing off into two pairs to learn together. Integrated curriculum is brain compatible. The brain learns best in real life. And the more connections made by the brain, the greater opportunity for making high-level inferences, right? So inferences meaning that you're not learning the facts, you're learning about something, and then you apply your learning to another situation. Integrated curriculum is emergent. It's based on a child's interest or a child's strength. It's inquiry-based. It could be teacher-initiated or child-initiated, but it's set up as a process of finding out learning, not just given the end results, but a process to find out what does this mean. And that's it's building knowledge for yourself, right? And in different contexts. So different children coming to the same process may have a different learning outcome. So integrated curriculum can be project-based, it can be an integrated study, or it could be a unit or a theme. And these three ways, project-based, integrated study, or unit themes, are ways to integrate curriculum. And it's also a way that when you're organizing curriculum in project-based or integrated study or unit theme, the children need to see it as purposeful and worthwhile. And then they will be engaged totally, right? When they see the purpose or feel that it's worthwhile, the learning, children will be totally engaged and interested in what's happening in the classroom. So good integrated curriculum developmentally appropriate practice? If it helps children learn about the world through meaningful exploration, remember just talking about how children need to see it being worthwhile. It begins with a topic that is of interest to children and teachers, individually, developmentally, and cultural appropriate. It is centered around real experiences with the topic forming the foundation. It's relatable to real life. There are ways to read about the topic, to reflect on, to represent, and recreate the experiences. It's intentional. Activities are appropriate for individuals and groups. Intentional, again, see that word constantly. While engaged in meaningful learning, children are developing skills in sensing and moving, thinking and problem solving, communicating, creating, and working and playing with others. To successfully develop curriculum that is developmentally appropriate, educators must know about child development. Educators must know how to apply this knowledge to the teaching or learning situation. You need to know how to teach, what to teach, and how to assess what children have learned. You need to know how to adapt curriculum instruction to children's individual strengths, needs, and interests, and be aware of the particular group of children that you're teaching and their families and home backgrounds. Each child has strengths and interests that can contribute to the learning community. Children must be given opportunities to play together, talk to other children and adults, and work on projects and other activities in small groups. Each child must be valued in the early childhood setting. It is in this environment that they learn to respect and acknowledge differences in abilities and talents, and to value each other for his or her strengths. Children must experience an organized environment and an orderly routine. The environment must be dynamic, predictable, and comprehensible from the child's point of view. It must have a variety of materials and opportunities to challenge children and provide meaningful experiences. Teachers are responsible for ensuring children's healthy development and learning. Children, however, are also able to actively construct their own knowledge. It is necessary for early childhood facilitators to allow for this construction of their own knowledge by children. The process of selecting a topic. Use the knowledge of children and their families to plan what you want to teach, what children need to learn, what they need to organize the environment, and to plan teaching strategies. Provide opportunities for children to make choices and enough time for them to explore through active involvement. Incorporate a variety of experiences and materials that take into consideration individual learning styles and maturation rates, needs, and interests. Incorporate each child's home culture so that the unique contribution of each learner is recognized, respected, and valued by others. The theory behind what we do: children learn when their needs for safety, security, and love are met. In that sense, your environment wants to be welcoming and safe for all children. Children learn when they have opportunities to be actively engaged with projects and people in order to create understanding, that active learning, real life experiences, and play-based activities. Children learn when they experience a variety of social interactions with peers, other children, older children, and adults. Activities are planned to encourage social interaction and problem solving. Teachers' role is to scaffold children's learning, offering the smallest amount of assistance possible in order for children to achieve the task, right? Not taking over the task, but just enough assistance for the child to complete the task on their own. Families should be welcomed into all aspects of the program. Children learn when their unique skills and talents are valued and they engage in experiences that employ these in a meaningful way. So that's where, when you're basing topics on individual children's interests and strengths, then children are going to find the learning experience meaningful. A variety of teaching strategies and types of activities should be used to teach concepts and skills in each curriculum area. First of all, understand how children think. Young children tend to be concrete thinkers. They're often egocentric. They generally have centered thinking. They process one variable at a time. And young children tend to confuse appearances, the way things look, with reality, the way things are. And so that's why you want to choose a theme or a topic that is centered in the reality of a child's life, something that they can assess. You might think, oh, let's study the topic of elephants. Can a child get close up to an elephant and touch it and feed it and interact with it? Maybe if you go to a zoo where they allow hands-on activities with observers, but it's not being the zookeeper, right? That can go up to the elephant and touch the skin and feel what that roughness of it, or smell the breath from the elephant. And so that wouldn't be a good theme. That's why pets often are a good theme, because so many people have pets. Or if a child doesn't have a pet, maybe they have a family member who has a pet, or a neighbor. It's something that they can realistically interact with. That's why sometimes the theme of dinosaurs is not necessarily encouraged, because yes, children love dinosaurs, and we can speculate how dinosaurs lived, what they look like, their size, things like that, but we can't experience them in the day-to-day life. Recognizing children's strengths. All children are intelligent in different ways. Help children develop and become aware of their own strengths. That would build great self-esteem, self-awareness, and leadership skills. Identify and use children's strengths to address their weaknesses. If a child is good at expressing himself or herself through sound and music, but does not easily grasp math concepts, try using musical rhythms to demonstrate those concepts, as in patterns, right? So knowing children, their strength and their interest should be a way to approach the curriculum development. Develop self-regulated learners. Model problem-solving strategies. Understand and support children's emotions, fears, and frustrations. Use language to support children. Why do you think Paloma is sad? Or tell Peter why you're sad. Say, you stepped on my building. Set up activities and centers to support children's self-control and self-regulation, right? So you know the children in your classroom. So as you set up activities and centers, you might set up an activity to avoid frustration or conflict. And then again, you might set up an activity and have two children engaged in it where you know frustration may happen. And so then you're going to come alongside and scaffold that learning to help that child learn self-regulation, how to express themselves, how to work through the frustration, and gain some problem-solving strategies. All right. So our curriculum development is not based on assumptions. It's based on knowledge. It's not what we wish children were like. It's not based on curriculum, like a boxed curriculum or a standard. A framework, it's a framework philosophy approach, right? Developmentally appropriate practice. The philosophy orientation that involves a constructive approach to the teaching of young children. How children typically learn, what is known about each individual child, and what is known about the social and cultural context in which that child lives. So you should be thinking about, how do my practices fit with what is known about children? Child development is critical to base your curriculum decisions on. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next PowerPoint for the toddlers. Thank you.